Hey interwebs, Mac here. Thanks for finding my channel or finding your way back to my channel, whatever it may be. We're here to talk about some movies. This rant will be focused on the past summer movie season of 2018 and how it compares to the upcoming fall movie season of 2018. But before we get to that, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Click the little bell so you can get all the updates whenever the new episode is ready to go. So, without further ado, let's jump in. As a child of the 80s and a teenager of the 90s, I was very into like the summer movie season, like the blockbuster season. You can probably recall some of the summer movies from the 90s. We're talking blockbusters like Independence Day, Jurassic Park, Men in Black, Speed. There's another one that comes to mind. Summer movies have been a staple of my movie going life, if you will. And I'm always looking forward to them. What I'm really going to talk about is how disappointed I was in the summer movies of 2018. There are a few reasons, naturally, because this is a rant, so obviously you're going to get a few reasons. My primary reason is the fact that now the summer movie season starts in April. Now, being a kid, you assume summer starts when school ends, and school, for most of us, either ends in late May or early June. So how does the summer movie season start in April now? Now, yes, I'm aware that this year it started because Infinity War came out in April. Great. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the wide releases of the summer movie season of 2018. Now, obviously, the first one I already mentioned was Avengers Infinity War. And yes, Avengers Infinity War was awesome. It did kind of feel like a stepping point to what's coming next. Still was a great movie, don't get me wrong. Then after Infinity War, that's when May starts. Yay. See, here's where I have my issues. The first weekend in May saw no big releases. It saw like Overboard and Tully, I believe, and then the other movie, Bad Samaritan. I think we can all agree that none of them can be considered a huge summer movie release. The following weekend, we had Life of the Party, starring Melissa McCarthy. I know we all remember that one. Then we saw the third weekend of May, and that brought us Deadpool 2. Now, there's another bona fide, as what I would consider a bona fide summer movie release. And yes, Deadpool 2 was awesome. And then the last weekend in May saw Solo: A Star Wars Story, which was supposed to be one of the huge releases of the summer and ended up bombing, although I'm not going to say anymore, you know I like Solo. The first weekend of June saw Action Point. Yeah, nobody remembers that one either, but I will say I did get a chance to catch on video. If you're a fan of Johnny Knoxville or Jackass, Action Point is a ton of fun. Then we had the big wide release in June 8th was Ocean's 8. And Ocean's 8 was just fine. I enjoyed Ocean's 8. It wasn't great, but it was fine. Not what I would consider a summer blockbuster, but still fine. Then we saw The Incredibles 2, and I seem to be one of the only people in the world that was actually really let down by The Incredibles 2. I mean, it was fine, don't get me wrong. It just was not The Incredibles. It just kind of seemed to be going through the motions. And I know it's so hard to get to that level of The Incredibles, and it did not. It also saw the release of Tag, a very amusing high-concept comedy. Then the next weekend, we saw Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I liked it just because it really did not care about how crazy it was, and it really was crazy, but again, a letdown and from a blockbuster standard, and that was the only thing that weekend. Then the last weekend in June gave us Sicario 2. Yes, the long-awaited sequel to Sicario. Granted, Sicario was a great movie. Sicario 2 was an average movie. But again, that is not a blockbuster. If I say Sicario, I guarantee half the viewers of this video don't know what that means. So how is that poised to be a summer movie? I don't know. So then we move into July. And the first thing that came out in July, which was July 4th, was The First Purge. All of the Purge movies have been adequate. And this one was very adequate. It was fine. Then we saw on the next, actually it was like 2 days after that, Ant-Man and the Wasp. And again, it's the Marvel formula. It works great. It was fine. It is nothing revolutionary. The next weekend, two stinkers right off the bat. Hotel Transylvania 3 and Skyscraper. Hotel Transylvania 3 was just like an ADD kids movie, and Skyscraper was one of the most boring action films I've ever seen in my life. Come on, Dwayne, you can do better than that. Then we saw The Equalizer 2, which I actually physically fell asleep in. And I believe I snore myself awake because I saw the people next to me kind of give me dirty looks. Boring. Then the last weekend in June, we got Mission Impossible Fallout. Now, Mission Impossible Fallout was an excellent movie. But my main criticism with that was it kind of felt like the equivalent of Hotel Transylvania 3 for adults. It was just non-stop. And I'm okay with action films, and it was a great action film, but it was not a spectacular action film. That also saw the release of Teen Titans Go to the Movies. That's Deadpool for kids, man. Plain and simple, and it was a ton of fun. The first weekend in August saw 3 releases of The Darkest Minds, which was basically like the new YA movie adaptation that just fell flat on its face. We also saw Christopher Robin, which was actually kind of surprising how nice and, pleasant that one was. And then we also saw The Spy Who Dumped Me, which was an immediately forgettable comedy. Then the next weekend we saw The Meg, which was an unexpected hit. And I'll tell you right now, if you go into The Meg and you know what to expect, you will be fine with it. Then the following weekend, we saw the mega blockbuster rom-com Crazy Rich Asians. Critics love this movie, and I will say it is a very enjoyable movie. Fun, lighthearted, well-directed, well-acted. Great, rom-com. Is the ultimate date movie because guys will actually enjoy it as much as their dates. And then the next weekend, we saw the release of The Happy Time Murders. Now, I greatly appreciated this and its message that it was trying to send forth about how puppeteers don't get the respect they deserve. However, the movie itself was kind of weak, and it was, again, another flop from Melissa McCarthy this summer. That weekend also saw the release of the movie Searching. This is a really understated, mystery movie that was told all through the computer. Very good, but once again, not a summer blockbuster. Then the final weekend of August gave us the movie Kin with James Franco. Yup. And that was the summer, guys. You had some franchise tentpoles there, but besides that, there's not a whole lot to write home about. You heard me say it, they were fine. The movies were fine. I just don't think that's the kind of summer I want. I don't want a fine summer. I want an awesome summer. I want a blockbuster-filled summer. And this had a lot of promise, but the best we got out of it was probably Avengers and Crazy Rich Asians and Mission Impossible Fallout. So September is the start of the fall movie season, which sometimes is also called award season, because you have some of these movies that are vying for Oscars, and then you have what's called the Oscar bait, which is those movies that showcase certain actors or actresses in these powerhouse roles surrounded by a movie that really isn't that great. I'm already more excited than I was for the summer. The best movies I have seen that would be considered award season so far have definitely been released in October. A Star is Born, which was absolutely excellent. Just a wonderfully directed and acted film. You're going to see Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga up there at the Oscars. If you're not, something's really wrong. It also gave us First Man, which was a technical marvel of a film. Just a beautiful, amazing film to take in. And that is a true reason to go to the theater and see a movie, to see First Man, just to be engulfed in how technically amazing that film was. Honestly, one of my favorite films I've seen all year, and it took me way by surprise. Bad Times at the El Royale. It's a twisty crime thriller set in this bi-state hotel. It's cut down right down the middle between Nevada and California. Really cool, really great writing, really great character development. I love the way the story was told. Seriously, one of my favorite movies of the year. Probably won't be recognized at the Oscars, but still a great movie nonetheless. I've also had the pleasure of seeing the new Halloween, which despite some issues is really great. And for you horror fans, you guys will eat it up. It has some great kills and some great suspense, and Jamie Lee Curtis gives a great performance. And then we have a ton of great stuff that's actually coming up. There's a drama coming up called Boy Erased, starring Lucas Hedges, who was nominated for an Oscar for Manchester by the Sea. Looks really powerful. We have the very quirky and very cool and very dark looking Nutcracker in the Four Realms. We have the horror remake Suspiria, which got some pretty good festival buzz. We have Steve McQueen's Widows, which, if you don't know who Steve McQueen is, he's director of 12 Years a Slave, Best Picture winner a few years back. Looks really great and a heady cerebral heist movie. We have the new Fantastic Beasts coming out, which, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you're itching for that one because the first Fantastic Beasts was quite good. We have Creed 2. If it's anything like the original, it's going to be a great movie, and those previews are really selling it for me. You have the new Wreck-It Ralph. Ralph Breaks the Internet. The first Wreck-It Ralph was awesome, and this one looks like it's going to follow suit. You have a really cool period piece coming out called The Favorite, starring Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz, that just looks messed up. And December is like a race to the finish for the award season, and there's no shortage of movies that are going to be vying for Oscars then. You have Lucas Hedges is actually back in another movie called Ben is Back, also starring Julia Roberts. Looks like a very, very intense drama. You have Mary, Queen of Scots, starring Saoirse Ronan and Margot Robbie. Looks pretty interesting. You have The Mule, which stars Clint Eastwood, and he directs it as well. I'm set on that because Clint Eastwood's one of my favorite actors and one of my favorite directors. You have Steve Carell in Welcome to Marwen, directed by Robert Zemeckis of Forrest Gump fame. Looks like a really interesting, quirky way to tell a PTSD war movie. And you have Vice, which is the Dick Cheney story, directed by Adam McKay of The Big Short and starring Christian Bale and Steve Carell again. He's having a busy winter. I'm going to tell you right now, go watch the trailer for that, man, if you're not excited for that. Whew, that looks great. And then the entire thing is rounded out by another movie that's getting really good festival buzz called Stan and Ollie, about Laurel and Hardy, starring John C. Reilly and Steve Coogan. And then, of course, you also have the blockbusters. We see Bumblebee, which is a continuation of the Transformers franchise, which actually looks like it might not suck. We have Aquaman, which is a continuation of the DCEU universe, which looks like it will suck. And then the one that I personally cannot wait for, Mary Poppins Returns. So what I'm getting at here, guys, is the summer movie thing has changed since I was a kid. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm always going to see movies. And I, as you can clearly, tell by my rundown of what I saw this summer, I'm going to see a lot. I want the summer to be like my, my popcorn cruncher, sit back and turn my brain off kind of movies. Think about some of the way the other movies got released this year, like Black Panther. One of the biggest hits of the entire year came out in February. And then you also had The Predator, which seemed like it was poised to be like a summer movie, came out in early September. I don't know what the studios are doing. I don't know what their plan is. All I know is that I would love to see the summer movie season become something that I can get excited for again. A lot of people look forward to vacations in summer, going to the beach, going to the pool. I look forward to going to the movies because that's just who I am. And I want to get back to that. And I don't want just one or two movies, man. I want a movie every weekend that's just going to blow me away. So what did you think of the summer movie season of 2018? Was it everything you hoped for? Was it nothing you hoped for? Was Infinity War enough to get you going through it? Was Infinity War not even enough to get you going through it? What do you think of the upcoming slate of fall films, the award season? Please let me know in the comments. I love reading your comments. You've been giving me great ones for the past few videos. I greatly appreciate it. But until next rant, this is Mac saying thank you, and I am out.